Huh? Yes, I'm gonna tell.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Joy, president of the PWNCR, and it's a pleasure to have you all with us this morning. We're very excited to get started. I have a few things I wanted to make sure everybody knew. We are now able to include coffee and tea. So we have coffee con leche, tea that's going to be available there on the back of the counter, as well as if you need to refill your water. The staff here are going to do their very best to come around and help everybody, but the self-service is always going to be possible. So, what else do we want to make sure just to get out of the way?
Turn off your cell phone.
Oh, that's a good one. Please. Meetings before completely turn off your cell phone. I love that. For any specialty drinks, should you want a cappuccino or whatever, that will be your own pack. So please go ahead and order that. The staff here will be happy to help you. There's a register kind of in the back, there to the left of the bar, and they can give you the menu for breakfast if you're hungry to get started with some food just now. All right, we have lunch that will happen right after this event. So at 11, basically a very brunchish. So if anybody has on your table, you should have. Rami is showing us the sign-up paper. There should be one of those on each table and a full menu. So if you are staying for lunch, please go ahead and write down what you're going to order and your full name as legibly, as clearly as possible, so that can facilitate the orders. So at 10:30, those papers will be picked up and they will go to the kitchen. So please be ready with your order by that time. I think we mentioned in the notes in the email, but because today is the Saturday after Valentine's Day, it means that they are going to be full for lunch, which is why we are having a very early day, which is perfect. All right, so I think I'd like to get started with just a couple of quick announcements. We do have door prizes, and in order to be in the drawing for the door prize, you do need to do registration. It was a little bit different today. Rami's holding up the raffle tickets. Does everyone have a raffle ticket? All right. So if you need to register, so get with Rami over there in the back if you have not. I would like to just, since we don't have quite enough time to introduce everybody, I'd like to just highlight a few people if we could. If you'd like to come up here and just introduce yourself quickly if I call on you. Fabian, would you come up and say hello? A little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Hi, I'm Fabian Rafael. I'm from Montreal, Canada. And I moved to Costa Rica last year in April. And what I do is I help my clients unleash their winning voices and the power of their story to become inspirational public speakers. So I help them finding that story, crafting the keynote, and then being ready for the speaking business world. So I'm really happy to be here. I found, I think we connected on, I found the website online, and I connected with Sarah Joy, and I've been a member for the last 2 years already. So happy to be here. Oh, what we got today, I have a workshop coming on in March 6th at 11 hours Costa Rican time, and it's about like unleashing the power of your story. So if you're interested, just get in touch with me. Thank you.
Perfect. So thank you. I would like to see if Jackie, could you come tell us a little bit about what you do? Jackie's part of our leadership team. She organizes our door prizes. I don't know what we would do without her. She does it beautifully.
Hello, I'm Jackie Monasaw. I've lived in Costa Rica for 30 years, and I currently help people live their lives happier and more easily with all of the common frustrations of daily life here. So I help people that are relocating or expats that live here with just about anything to make life a little more smoothly. And, yeah, so I've been a part of the leadership team for a little over a year now, I guess. And I love it. It's great to meet all of you and hear about what you're doing in Costa Rica. Sometimes I feel like you can never really imagine all of the different things that are going on. So it's great to have the opportunity to meet people and hear your stories. So I'm looking forward to your presentation today.
Congratulations. And Alex, can I pick on you?
Hi.
Yes, can we learn about you? Okay. Alex is a visitor today. We're just meeting her for the first time.
Hello, my name is Alex. I'm from the UK. I've been in Costa Rica for about 8 years and I've lived in various different places. I'm a consultant and I work in the field of addiction, mental health and well-being. So at the moment I work at an addiction center in Riverside, which is fantastic, but also challenging. I have a 12-year-old daughter who is amazing, but also challenging. And I moved to San Jose 3 weeks ago. So I live in Escazú right now. I was living in Nosara before. So I'm still adjusting to the pace and the speed. And I found out about this late last night from a friend's friend. So I kind of find this serendipitous and lovely to meet you all. And I look forward to connecting. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Wonderful. Anna Maria, I'd like, Matamoros, would you come up? Anna Maria has made a career out of art. I just love her creations. She'll tell us.
Thank you. I live in Costa Rica with my 3 sons, and I'm an architect. I paint. I love to paint these types of paintings like toucans and everything. And I'm also doing virtual interior design right now.
So we have music there. Okay. All right, everybody put your phones on mute if they are not already. And then I think we're ready to introduce our speaker. Wendy, would you come up and help us out?
Are we waiting for this?
No, the roads are those coming from the other directions first.
Well, good morning, everybody. So good to see all of you. Remember, I'm the shy one of the group. I am very honored to introduce Dyalá Jiménez. She's gonna be our speaker. It's one of my favorite people. She's always inspired me because she's super kind and just very intelligent and pretty at me. So I'm super honored, but she also has a very interesting career professionally. She is an arbitrator, international arbitrator, but she also was our Secretary of Commerce last government. And even though it was a different party, she was super brave and she did such an amazing job for Costa Rica, and we're super proud of her. So please welcome her.
I'm a cousin of Bonita. Good morning, everyone. This is the very first time that I'm unleashing my inner self, so I'm sorry I have not met Fabienne beforehand. I'm sure I would do a better job had I had your training before, but I'm very happy and honored to have been invited to this wonderful group that I call Powerful Women Group. And what I'm trying to do today is convey one of the dilemmas that I've had in the last years, which is time management, and how I've solved that dilemma progressively and increasingly, I hope, for the better. And I will give you then what the questions that I asked and how I have answered them. And I want to invite you at the end to answer them with me so that we can have a discussion. So the best job I have ever had and will ever have is being Minister of Foreign Trade. My mother was that many years ago, and she, I think, agrees with me, it's the most challenging, fun, fulfilling experience that a person who likes policy and who likes people and who likes to think, about where our country is heading, will have. So there I was the very first day. I come into the office, I open the door, and there's a bathroom with a shower. I said, goodness, this is perfect. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, come running to Plaza Tempo, take a shower, have breakfast, and then I'll start my day. This is just, wonderful. So out of the 740 days that I was minister, guess how many days I took a shower and did that? 1, and it was not related to jogging, not even. So 2 or 3 kilos into my job, as I was in the bathroom where I usually went to call my home to see if everything was okay, because I had no other, and of course, everything is always okay. Why do we think we need to call home to check if everything is okay? When things are not okay, you're actually on another side of the planet, and your son is being operated on appendicitis. That's when things aren't okay, not when you're calling constantly. So I was there, but quite frustrated, and I said, how come Barack Obama was 8 full years president of the United States, and he did not gain 1 single pound? He looked cool, collected, always. He was with his family and was balanced. And little minister of little Costa Rica cannot seem to get her act together. This is impossible. So what seemed as, a silly question and rhetorical at some point started to become increasingly more important to me. And the reason that that question is important, I think, is twofold. First, it's an equalizer. We are all in this life with 24 hours a day. So as much as it is daunting, it's also challenging, and it's also very meaningful, because we can do anything we want. Not anything we want, and we'll get to those details, but we have to shape our 24 hours, just the way others do. And the second reason is that life is made up of a whole bunch of 24 hours put together. So tomorrow hasn't come yet, and yesterday is gone. We do have these 24 hours. So I decided to start actually replying or answering that question for Obama and for myself mostly. So I found 4 answers as I tried to really think about this in terms of how I can shape my 24 hours and make better use of my own time. The first, if there is anyone in the world who can delegate, is POTUS, right? I mean, the president of the United States has a pretty good staff. But I said, we have automercado en línea. We can also delegate. So I said, how does one delegate? It's not that easy. Because when you delegate, you have to, in principle, master yourself so that you can check whether they're really doing the job you want to have been done. So you have to choose the right person whom you're going to delegate something to. You can also delegate things that actually you don't mind if they're not that perfectly done, and they're not that important. Or you can delegate things that somebody else would do better than you do. For example, I'm the worst travel planner on this planet. Something I inherited from one of my favorite people in the world, my mom, because there's something about itineraries, right? I just really don't understand itineraries. And I go to the gates at the time the plane leaves, etc. So, I decided to delegate all travel planning, and if they made a mistake, it's fine. It'll be less worse than my own mistake. And I decided to every single Sunday night do a menu, because for me it's important what we eat at home, but I don't know how to cook. So the person who works in my house, Isabel, who's very important to me, she will cook, and we will buy only the things that are needed so we don't waste food, which is something also that I find important. And little things like that, increasingly facilitated my use of time. At work, of course, I had a staff, so that was very easy because Ministerio de Comercio Exterior is the best ministerio, on this country, in this country, so that was relatively easy. So delegation is something crucial for time management. The little things and the big things. Secondly, I said, I think even Barack, before he goes to bed, I'm sure he's a little bit frustrated because he didn't make that call to Putin that he had to. Or, something didn't happen, or he didn't have time to do something because Maya came into the office and interrupted him. So I'm going to start writing down every evening the things that I actually did achieve, the things that I accomplished. And in the mornings, I would try to have a to-do list. So I started focusing on the things I did do and not focusing on the ones I did not. I don't know about you, but when I go to a bookstore, I get very frustrated because there's so many more books that I will not read and have not read than the ones I did. But I decided, let's flip and change your attitude towards things. And they're, by definition, in your life, you're not going to do more things that you did not do. So let's just be positive and congratulate ourselves with what we did achieve at the end of the day. The third answer is that Barack also has 7 days a week, not just 24 hours a day. So I think, I'm an early riser. My brain is on in the mornings. My brain is off, right? That's like my family, like Muni also. In the evenings, like Milagro also, sluggish, don't work. So all Friday afternoons, I will stop and work and actually just plan the following week. So I'll do my planning on Friday afternoons when my children had at that time play dates or other things. So I did not need to be necessarily with them, but I did not need to be on work mode. On the contrary, on Sunday mornings, I'm super bright. And my kids are sleeping. My husband is either sleeping or exercising or doing something else. So those Sunday mornings, I will think. I will do my thinking time. Now, as an arbitrator, I will write awards, decisions. I will prepare conferences. I will do things that are more difficult to do in my office. So I use the whole week. I try not to work on Saturdays. That's my Shabbat. And I try to just do fun things or be with my family or run errands. So Saturdays, I try not to use for productive, quote unquote, activities. But then, I realize when you have a slate of 7 days and you work your calendar for 7 days, it's much better than when you think of your work week as 5 days only, because it's really only 4.5 when it comes to it. And I'm sure, Barack also did that, because poor Congress people in Costa Rica, when I was minister, the members of Congress that helped me push through all the bills for OECD accession, we became OECD member, thanks to a whole bunch of people who made a lot of work, but in the last leg, we had to pass 14 bills. And the 9 members of the commission that were involved with that very actively got calls from the Minister of Foreign Trade every single Saturday and Sunday, because that's the time they had time to listen to me, I had time to call them. So weekends became a little bit work days, I must say, but you creep in some lunches with family and friends if you can. And the fourth thing that Barack has that I think we all love is called Michelle, right? And my Michelle is called Roberto. But Michelle in my life is like 5 or 6 people together. But you need solid, people who really support you and people who inspire you and people who believe in you. And so I call my poor mom a lot for advice. Roberto gave me also good advice, and my cousin adores me, as you can see. So my chats were filled with, love and milagro, always, unconditional. So you have friends, you have people who love you, and that's the support system that you need. The mothers of my children's classmates would haul along my kids everywhere. So the support system that, Michelle gave Barack, many people gave me. So those were the answers that I was finding as I went along, speaking with Barack about this problem. And then I realized, okay, this is all quite conceptual, but how do I do it actually to understand where I am in life and what my priorities are? Because this all sounds, like you have tools, but how do I use the tools from the toolbox? So Milagro, my good friend, one day she's here, she told me, you need to fill a pie that is called Bienestar Integral. Well, wait, ¿dónde está que acaba de hablar de bienestar? No, bueno. El bienestar integral pie or chart is very important because it tells you what your priorities are at a certain point in life. That really helped me because you fill it in, and there's some on the web. You fill it in with different colors, and it says your emotional well-being is red, social life or time with friends is blue, work, financial security, spiritual security, etc. So you have about 7 categories: exercise, health, and you fill in the chart, the pie, and that is you. That is what your priorities are at a certain point in life, and that really helped me. Because as you go filling your schedule, you realize that really out of the 24, you need some time to sleep. Others need more than, I needed 7, and I don't sleep very well. I have a hard, that's my next challenge. And the second thing that really helped me is to understand what my needs are, what my possibilities are. A lot of people do not have Isabel at home who can cook. My very good friend has, her husband has ALS. So you have to understand where your needs, your possibilities, your priorities. I have Virginia Woolf in my family, who's my mom, who taught me, and our grandmother taught us, financial stability is important because it gives you freedom, it gives you autonomy, gives you power, frankly. So you start understanding who you are. What are the things you like to do? For example, I'm an early bird, definitely. So I will put the important things and try to have meetings in the afternoon and thinking and strategic time in the mornings. Now I'm an arbitrator. I do a lot of meetings, unfortunately, early in the mornings because I work with parties and lawyers and arbitrators in Europe. So a lot of meetings early in the morning where, I should be writing and reading in the morning, but that is life. So I'm an early bird. For me, it's important to exercise because that's my emotional stability and balance. It gives me balance. Some people like to tejer, to knit. Some people like art. Some artists need to draw. My son needs to draw to be able to disconnect. Some people find it very important to go to mass or have, their own spiritual guidance. And for them, that's fundamental. For me, being in nature is like my own religion is nature, etc. You find who you are, what you like to do, and you be true to yourself in that. For me, my friends are very important, but work takes a lot of my space. And my good friends understand that, and they're very patient. So, but I do miss them. So at some point, I just leave everything and go have lunch with them. So those are the how to do the bienestar integral. I guess you call it into whole or wellness, holistic well-being. There are lots on the web, in the web. on the way. And the chart of who you are, what your priorities are, and what your possibilities are as well. And finally, just to wrap it up and listen to your own experiences. Knowing who you are and what your priorities are and how you're going to spend your time is empowering, because if you don't, others will mark their agenda, their priorities on your time. Because if you're kind of, you know, floating around, not knowing exactly what your priorities are, you tend to say yes to many other people's invitations, other people's agendas, which can be, if you decide the way you want to live, and you're very generous with your time and you want to be with others, and you know, that's perfectly fine if you're willing and able to do that. Sometimes you're not able to. I, for example, have to work. You know, I have to work because I didn't inherit a whole bunch of money, and my husband and I, we both work, and he has to have a salary. So and I love to work, fortunately, and I love what I do. But some people, if they don't have to work, then I think it's even more challenging if you don't have to work, because to have that open space. In any case, so the first thing is, if you own your time, then you don't feel that others are imposing their agenda on you. And secondly, if you really know, you know, what you're doing in these 24 hours, and then you realize your own life has changed, your kids are big, you know, now they went off, then you can shift and recalibrate, and make a different time management scheme for different phases, because of course priorities will change. There is a time for everything. That was my father's favorite book in the Bible, Ecclesiastes. You know, there is a time for everything. You have to also know when is the time for prioritizing one or the other things. You have to know, for example, that you can't delegate certain things with your children, or so, you know, giving priority and being flexible, of course, comes into the equation. So I will finish with a phrase by my cousin Mooney, whom I admire very much. And she said, you know, she's been telling me, we speak about many things, but one day she told me, you know what, I own my happiness. I'm the owner of my own happiness. I don't want to give that power to somebody else. So we have to own our own time as well. Of course, some people are more generous than others. You know, I tend to be more generous because I love hearing friends and helping friends. But at times I do have to say no, because otherwise I'm really sabotaging myself. So I'll just finish with a question for everyone, an open question, Sarah, if I may. What do your 24 hours look like? How do you design your own 24 hours? What are your challenges? Do you want to discuss this among us? Do I have to pass the mic on, or?
I have a question before.
Yes.
No,
Because I think it's
Zoom people need the mic. No, I think everybody.
no, es que la gente en Zoom.
For everybody else. I think you got finished. So I hear you're planning your 24 hours or 7 hours, 7 days a week, but have you thought about being primitive, Costa Rica?
This is all planned by you. No, I'm not planning on that, because Adrian is too small, he's still in the house. You know, he needs the mother still. But you know, when I was younger, and this is one of the things that I wanted to say, I grew up with a lot of good, wholesome programming messages from my parents and my family. I had wonderful parents. And one of the things was you can only change the world if you're a public service, which I kind of still believe a little bit, although Elon Musk and Steve Jobs won't agree. But, you know, I still believe that governments are the most important things in a country, in a nation, because you define the destiny of the nation, you shape it, and you allow or not, you know, regulations to work one way or the other. So I do believe this is the most important thing. And when I was young, I always thought this is very easy for me to know what I'm going to do in the future. I have two choices: President of Costa Rica or Secretary General of the United Nations. So I would really, no, and I actually wanted to solve the Arab-Israeli conflict, remember? So, but then I realized it's not that easy to do either, and it's not that straightforward. You have to really first get your checking account being balanced, among other things. So if there are any more questions, yes, please. Here, I think we need Mike.
Yeah, I think we need to have each person go up. Okay, perfect.
It's just that people, I think people are, wondering if people are next.
My question is very simple, but it's deep. How do you protect your mental health and your wellness? What do you do?
Thank you. You're assuming that I'm mentally balanced. No, so, well, first, I think I exercise. This is something important, not as much as I would want to, but if I don't exercise, I start getting down, really. And the second is I married a person who doesn't take me that seriously in terms of my dilemmas, because I tend to ask big questions all the time. And I'm very happy at some point, then I get down. And, you know, when I'm down, he doesn't really pay that much attention to me, and that really helps. But also I have very good friends. So, you know, Milagros here because she has helped me a lot. My cousins are very important to me, my family. I have a wholesome family relationship and support system, so that, and my kids, of course. Thank you. Anybody else who wants to? Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Well, it's partly a comment and partly a question, because I was raised in the United States and I don't know, and also at a different time. I'm 72 to put it in context. So I was brought up to be like a peacemaker, don't make waves, don't ask difficult questions. The Prince Charming idea, find the right man. I did find the right man, but I'm trying to think where I was headed. So I did a lot of deferred gratification, and the pandemic really slapped me upside the head, and I quit deferring, and I started spending some more money, taking some more trips, buying some more toys. So my question would be, culturally, is that how you Ticas grew up? And back then, and then you younger women, have you moved away from the looking outside yourself, especially to a partner for your contentment, and more toward yourself? I hope so.
Yes. So maybe somebody can, I'll speak for myself and then share the mic. Yes, you want to answer, Colleen? I think it's better to hear other voices.
Hi.
Hi.
So nice to meet you.
Likewise. I'm the.
I bet you all that I'm 75. And in Costa Rica, it is pretty much like that. With the burden that as the older daughter, you have to take care of everything, right? Luckily for me, after graduating from the UCR, I got a scholarship and went to the United States to finished my education. I have a PhD in biology. And I changed my ways looking at life. And I lived in the United States for 40-something years. I just recently moved back. So many of the things that I say here are true for most of us. We can change that. And I agree with you. Pandemic was a big slap for almost everybody. My own daughter, who's a lot younger than I am, because I'm very late, it's has a different lifestyle, and I'm so happy. But I am still have a great amount of cousins and second cousins and all kinds of families relatives here in Costa Rica that are still living pretty much the same way I was raised. So is there any change from that? I don't know. You tell me. I'm a foreigner here for all that because I lived away 40-something years. And although I kept in contact with them, I'm surprised sometimes when they have big familiarities to see some of the things that are going on, like a child that is literally a child, 17, 18 years old, getting married. What is that? Already with a child coming. What is that? So I don't understand many of those things still. But yes, we grew up that way, and it takes a lot of guts to change our way of looking at life, and we can do it. I did it, you did it, everybody can do it. Sooner or later, but we did it, right? So yes, there are cultural differences, but we are much more similar than you think.
Yes, I agree. I'm 52, but I'm very lucky because I really did a good job at choosing my parents. And you know, they both taught me to be a liberated woman. My father used to tell me, you cannot marry virgin. My father, who was born in 1921, and he would tell me how important sexual life was and how women decide whom they're going to go to bed with. I mean, that was wild. So, you know, my cousins were very liberated, very autonomous. To me, you're very important because they were like my sisters. And my poor brother, you know, younger sibling with all these women power thing around. So I agree. I think it depends really on where you're coming from and your background, specific background. Also how brave you are within yourself. I'm not a rebel, actually. I'm very brave in that I like risks. I get a little bit bored in the comfort zone. I like to change, but I'm not a rebel. I'm not an activist, for example, but I like change. So it depends. Women who work with me who are 35 and 25, I have 2 women and 2 men who work with me. They're so different, but one is more liberated than the other in that sense. So I think it really depends on their upbringing, specific upbringing, and you can do anything you want, of course. And it's super scary to tell your husband, you know, I want to go out with my friends. I know you just told me you don't want me to, but I'm going to. And, you know, or little things like that can make a difference. They're scary, but if you don't, so when I have a dilemma, what I usually do is fast forward in my mind, how will I think and feel about my decision looking back? That is a trick that really helps me. Will I regret it or will I feel proud of myself? And it's about how I feel with myself. So that helps when you're trying to make a decision that, you know, that takes a lot of courage. Yes. You all have to walk. Yeah, this is the obstacle.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this. It's really helpful, I'm sure, for everybody. It brought to mind when I was teaching high school kids and we studied Benjamin Franklin. He was brilliant. He chose 16 character traits that he wanted to improve. And then he organized his everyday into time slots with that character trait in mind. And look at what he became. I mean, look at what he developed in the United States, the founding of the United States. That's one. The other model for organizing time is the indigenous people. They divide their day into 6 to 12, 12 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 6. So the 6 to 12 in the morning is go out and work and use your machete and do all of that. Then the next cycle is come back and be in your home and do things in your home. And then the 6 to 12 is go to bed. And 12 to 6 a.m. is to be your spiritual self. And I think it really works. So I also want to put a pitch in here about things are happening in Costa Rica that are extremely significant. And I hope that all of us, Ticas like me, I'm a 45-year Tica. Okay. We need to be alert and we need to keep informed and we need to support each other because we have great risks coming up. Okay? And the fourth thing, I'm almost done, would be age-related time management. My dad is 93 years old. He is in his last phase of his life and pretty soon, the very last phase. He's so alert that he organizes his day. First, I have to take the pills, then I have to go to the bathroom, then I have to take the pills, then I have to do the exercise. And but it keeps him centered and stable. He's not flying off into dementia. So those of us who are getting towards that age, pay attention to how you organize your time, just as you were saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if I may, I'll make 2 comments. First, I think having projects is one way to keep your mind. Just having mini projects like your dad, Gail, or bigger projects, whichever you have. But also, what is happening in Costa Rica? One of the things I always think is, yes, I delegate and I'm super mom and professional, but Isabel, you know, on whom I depend to a great extent, she left her kids in Nicaragua. She works a long day. I mean, and when are we as a society going to stop? The women, the PW and ICR women relying on Isabel. We need Isabel to be a P and WCR woman. So yes, they're much more Isabel than Dyalá. So what you were saying about what's going on in Costa Rica, this matter of the inseguridad ciudadana, of lack of, I don't know, citizen security. See, this has not only to do, of course, with police power, but it has to do with education, hope, role models, life on Facebook and fake life on the web and on the redes sociales, on social media. I mean, it's a holistic policy that is needed right now. You know, when Laura Chinchilla was president, she did Red de Cuido, so women could work and old people would be taken care of. And the children would be taken care of. She did Casas de Paz y de Justicia, so that communities could solve conflicts. She did Leonardo Garnet changed the curriculum. I know he's controversial, but the curriculum was amazing. She did política deportiva, sport. She was the first person who really made it a priority to have sports as a policy. And the culture, remember CINEM, I think it was Oscar Eres, but she strengthened CINEM, which was Las Sinfónicas Juveniles en los barrios. So that is policy para combatir la inseguridad, because that way you don't have little 14-year-olds who are sicarios who want to kill for I don't know how much money. So yes, I agree with Gail. I don't know what we can do as, you know, private citizens other than demand that our governments really take this thing seriously. or to become president, like Mooney, maybe you should. So, yes, I agree with Gail, Costa Rica is changing in ways that do not recognize, but I think it's not only Costa Rica. We have across the board, across the globe, problems, and we were speaking yesterday. I'm pretty sure that now communities and if the governments are concerned about what technology is doing, of course, technology is great. We can delegate with technology. I like artificial intelligence. I think it's amazing. It's fantastic. It's like telling engineers not to use calculators when you tell people don't use ChatGPT. I mean, this is it. It's not even the future, it's the present. But having kids not look into each other's eyes when they speak, when they have a conversation, or not, leave their phones while they're having dinner with their parents, that's really sad. So there are many other problems. And I work with younger people, as I mentioned. I tried for 1 year to make them go to the office at least once or twice a week. Did not work. So we have to adapt to them as well, but it's kind of weird because I like collectiveness and they like individualness or whatever it's called, individuality. So we have to really bridge that gap, and we were talking about that among ourselves. So any other questions or comments? Yes.
Can I speak from here?
No, okay, they don't hear in the Zoom, I think. Is there anyone connected actually?
I think Phyllis is.
Okay, Phyllis. Phyllis, thank you for organizing.
Okay, my English is not perfect, so I'm trying to feel bad. You said that what we can do, right? And I would say that it's really important, this kind of events, because as a woman, sometimes we don't know our own power, So when I got pregnant, for example, many women tell you that you are done, right? And mostly because I'm young and I have my own company after that. So I have to look women that look like the women that I want to be. So what happens if we create more events like this and tell you are able, you have the skills to do it. And it's really important to have a network that tells you that you are able.
Yes.
That's what I want to say.
Paola, ¿verdad? Yes, I think you're right. To show people and empower women especially, that's one of the ways that we can maybe create a force that demands that our children won't get killed, basically. There's somebody, this historian, her name is Uribe, de Colombia. Bueno, muy buena. She has a podcast. And she said that the IRA and Ireland, the society finally reached peace after a century, right, of conflict, when the mothers in all sides said this is enough. So I think Paola is right. When the mothers, for example, of Israel and Gaza can meet and look or all of us, our own, we have to look at each other in the eyes and say, what kind of country we want to be for our children.
And it's hard to find like women. At least I will speak from my own experience. For me, I was looking at YouTube, that I couldn't find women in Costa Rica until now that I would say that what kind of women I want to be, right? And most of that was like, okay, you can be an employee, but I said I want to be an entrepreneur, right? And I have to work even more than normal. I have to have a job, and I have to have I work almost 20 hours a day, right? Doing all that. But to do that, I have to get some inspiration from the people that did it as well, right? And it's for that reason I said it's really important to actually have this kind of conversations. And like you said, like I travel for work, and I ask myself, I'm a good mom. Now I want to be a professional, but I want to be a good mom. How I can balance? And sometimes there is no balance.
That's a very good point, Paola. If you're off balance for a while, who cares? There is no good balance because it's a project. You're a mother and you work for, yes, priorities. So it's okay if you're not balanced. Life is not about having a balance every minute. It's in general finding your own balance, grosso modo, ¿no? Kind of en general. But I think you're right, and it's admirable, 20 hours a day, getting your own, because for you, freedom and economic independence is more important than speaking. See,
It's only we don't have, like, we don't come from families that they don't have company, companies. I'm the present generation, I would say in my family, that have a company, so it's really important. It's very important to have this kind of inspirations.
and you're a role model for your son, because, or your nephew. Yes, for your nephew, because then he will choose women who look like you, and that way it starts multiplying. Pero felicidades. Bravo. I feel like Oprah. I love this group. So, Laura, Milagro, and Loretta.
Well, thank you, first of all, for this opportunity, but I just wanted to reflect on two things that you mentioned that I feel have been very important in my life, at least. And I think they are important in every woman's life. One has to do with the issue of economic autonomy. And I think it doesn't matter economic autonomy. It is the ability to be able to say no to others in society because you're able to take care of yourself. And it doesn't matter, I think, whether you grow up in a wealthy family or a poor family. You can feel oppressed, even though you live in the context of a wealthy family. And I grew up in a Costa Rican family that was very conservative. And frankly, I was the third child, but I felt oppressed because I couldn't, what I expressed wasn't taken seriously because I was just supposed to, think about other things, think about who I was going to get married to, or think about somebody supporting me. And that was not the kind of life. I always aspired to do things internationally, to change things. I've always, without being an activist, I've always believed that we have to challenge the status quo. And that, in a society that is very conservative can be very hard. So I think for me, being able to go to the United States, to do it on my own, to get a scholarship and work my way through college and to graduate school was very important. Because that is when I was able to really say, okay, I can establish the priorities of my life. So that is one issue I think is very important to women. And you see it, especially, we at Crusoe, we work a lot, and have been doing a lot of studies with women who are receiving the subsidies from the government. And that issue of dependence of these women, whether it's on a government subsidy, whether it's, on the boyfriend supporting, that is absolutely oppressive, and that is what doesn't let them get out of that cycle of, violence and poverty in which they find themselves. But another issue I think has to do, and it's very hard, it's being able to have a vision and a strategy of what are the things that are important to you. And that is both as a professional, but also, as a mother and as a daughter, but also as a society. I really believe that all of us are here and have to play a role in society. We have to serve our community in some way, and that we need to make that a priority. And so I've always leaned towards policy things, and you can get very frustrated because you feel things are, right now I feel with Costa Rica, I'm ready to leave. It's, you feel like you can't change things, and that can be a very debilitating thing. But I think, again, what you were saying is we need to really think about those things that we are able to control around ourselves. And I would say the most unhappy times in my life was when I felt others were setting my priorities or others were setting my agenda. So, and it's not easy to do, but for that, I think you have, and you have to have this, whether it's at work, where you have to be able to say no when people come and they come with
with lots of projects and things. And it's not easy saying no, but if you don't do it, I think in the end, that's when you become totally overwhelmed and you become unhappy. So I think prioritization is absolutely fundamental, and you have to have clarity of vision to be able to prioritize, so. But
Yes.
well, that would great.
One of the, I think Flora is totally right, and for me, it's frustrating to work in the private sector, honestly, because it's not as fulfilling to me as a public sector. So I am on the board of CINDE, I help CFIs, you know, I do other things that are fulfilling, but we need to connect and help society, I agree. Milagro, especially those of us who have received, we need to get back to that.
I'm Milagro, the friend that she talks about. Well, when Dyalá will be president. We have known each other for a long. I was 12, she was 13, so I know Dyalá pretty well in another aspect. But I am also like Dyalá's cheerleader, #1 fan. We're like the same. Oh my God, okay. Anyhow, knowing Dyalá so well and being her cheerleader and seeing her go through all her studies when she left for college, that was heartbreaking for me because I love this girl so much. And Dyalá had to understand that she has to understand that she needs a breather. This girl is such a hard worker that I'm like, God, how does she do it? But she manages to do it. We also had a talk, or we've had several talks, of the importance of what she talked about, of the famous pie that I told her. And to be there for your friends is super important. And Dyalá does that. She managed to understand that she doesn't always have to be in control of everything, that she needs to vent, not with Roberto, not with Mooney, not with Mooney, but with her friends. So we respected each other. One day it clicked. It was like, I'm not gonna make her feel bad because she's in Brazil doing some crazy award. So we started, and Dyalá is the type of person that will feel very guilty when she says no. So we started this little thing called segmentation. And this is for everyone who has friends or your kids or whatever. I also work. And we're all, you know, we're busy, maybe to different degrees, but we're always busy. So with WhatsApp, it's just simple. If I'm not looking at my phone, I don't care. I know that Dyalá every day now, I think, or every other day, we go crazy if we don't talk at least during the week. We started, like, she's audioing me, and at 8 o'clock at night, if I can hear her, I'll do it without resentments, without, you know, saying, well, you know, why weren't you there when I needed you? No, I'll text her and she'll read it when she can. So it's a way of like helping each other. You know, my job might be more flexible and I can change things around, and then Dyalá will be present when we have lunches, because we need to vent. Not with Roberto all the time, you know, we need other people. Because we react differently and we'll give advice differently. So segmentation works, so keep that in mind. It's very good. Okay, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Milagro is a psychologist, I'm an English teacher. And segmentation is part of what technology can do. My mother lives in the US, I can't always talk to her, your children are working, so you leave audio messages and you react, and it works very well for some of us, so. Here, thank you, Lano.
First of all, thank you so much for participating and share with us today. It resonated a lot with me. I live life through lives, a corporate life, and since 3 years ago, a Costa Rican life where I changed career and everything else. So I know both sides, and I know what it means to work 12, 14 hours a day, maybe weekends sometimes as well. So
a lot of the advice you shared today really resonated with me. I want to build on the topic of saying no, because I think that's very important. We tend in general at jobs and at work to add things, not to subtract. And I don't think that's a mathematical operation that we don't seem to master in general. So I was wondering, like, for example, in my case, when I was working in my previous company, and I was having those very long days, one exercise I found very useful was check my calendar for a month ahead and ask myself, what is this meeting about and do I need to be there? Do I have to be there? How is that connected to what I want to do? And I started digging. It was a very, very useful exercise, which I haven't thought about before. I was wondering, how do you decide to say no to things? Because to your point, sometimes we feel guilty about saying no.
Very good, thank you. First of all, I plan on a weekly basis of certain things, and then on month, but travel is monthly. I'm increasingly saying no to a lot of things. First, dinners from Monday to Wednesday or Thursday, usually I say no. I'm not a night person. I don't feel well the morning after. So I already established that's not good for me. I don't like it. Why don't we have a coffee or a phone call or lunch on Friday? So it's what makes you feel good or bad that you eliminate from your life. Then I say no to it depends on who. For example, I just went to Mexico for a breakfast, a 2-hour breakfast. Why? Because it's very dear to me, the organization that invited me. It's important for my networking, for my profession. And I had said for a whole year that I couldn't. So now if I said no again, the loss, it's a cost benefit analysis, they would never invite me. So it really depends. It's the cost benefit. It's about how you feel. I'm not a great expert on saying no, but because this theory, the more stressed I am, the better I perform, which is really bad. And I'm sure as I get older, it won't work that much. But if you want something done, give it to the busiest person. You know that saying, which is terrible. But I do, although I'm a member of the International Chamber of Commerce Court, and it takes a lot of time. We get to learn things that I already knew because I have worked for a long time. So I just decided I won't continue this. This is too much for me. Cinde is more important, for example, which takes a lot of my time. But Cinde is close to my heart. I feel I'm doing something for my country. I don't work in arbitrations in Costa Rica at all. So I don't want to be that disconnected. So I had to choose one of the 2 non-remunerated things that took up most of my time. And I chose from the heart more than. So I guess it depends. It's a difficult decision. Anybody else comment or question here, please? I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's name.
You should.
Anya.
So actually, I have a question for you, and I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's this new term being coined as called FOMO. I don't know if you've heard it. Right? So it's fear of missing out, right? And I hear you're a member of Cinde, you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you have the company, right, that you work, and I'm guessing you do so much more, right? Because you fed, you look amazing, so I'm guessing you get to do a lot of things. And to me, for example, I have a full-time job and I have a farm and I'm in this group and I have the group of women of Microsoft as well. And I have like so many things that I want to do. And every time there's this new project, I'm like, I want to take it, right? I want to go there. And I also have this little problem, which is I don't only like to do things, I like to lead the way. So, yes. So, and whenever you say like, you should prioritize, you should be able to know when to say no, but thing is, I don't want to say no. I want to also do that, but my life is running out on me, right? It's just the end of the day comes so quickly and I can't get to all the things I want to do. So how do you deal with that and get to do so much at the same time?
Okay, very good. I mean, again, I'm not the master of that, but I'm learning. Number one, I had 2 or 3 episodes of burnout last year. So that to me was a red flag. I mean, there was going to be some major health crisis if I didn't take care of myself. I don't think my mom really knows this anyway. So I've said to 4 appointment as arbitrators, I've said no, which is incredible for me to do that because of my health. Secondly, I like to lead, and that's a problem because the person who does the most gets called on the most again. So you tend to have this vicious circle. So now I'm just saying, is this worth it? Am I doing something similar? So I don't need to do that. You know, if it's something similar that you're already doing, am I giving an opportunity to another person? One thing I do often, I'm invited to speak in arbitration, in the international arbitration world. The way that we do marketing is we go to conferences to speak. And we pay our own everything because it's an investment. And that's the way we showcase who we are and we're on top of mind. So if I'm invited to something that I think it's too much, I need to prepare, I don't have time, I shouldn't, because I'm running out of time. I'll recommend that Karima, my senior associate, go, or I'll recommend somebody else. And that way, you're kind of there for them. You help another person grow, and everyone's happy. It's a win-win. So think about delegating or doing it for another person. You feel really good that you're helping somebody else, but you're not doing it. And again, what I said in the beginning, I do this fast forward analysis. How will I feel in 1 month's time when I have to take that trip? Am I going to be overwhelmed and hating myself? Or am I going to be okay? So thank you. And you know, I have huge ojeras, but makeup really helps. Because my problem is I don't sleep very well. If anyone knows how to help people sleep, okay, Gloria, thank you. So anybody else? See, Mooney. No, Sarah, Gail, Mooney and Gail.
Well, you know me, I ask a lot of questions. So I have one question. I have a philosophy that women in power have to help other women come up. So do you constantly do this every day?
Yes, I do it. I agree with you, Mooney. We have to do that and help change, you know, help the climate change efforts, those 2 things. The first, I belong to equal representation in arbitration. I belong to Arbiter Women. I'm a mentor for mentees in arbitration. 2 of 4 people in my team are women. I'm super flexible with them, especially the one who has a little boy. Sometimes too flexible because then, you know, but I understand them fully. So yes, I promote women in all the panels that I've organized in my life have to be equal women, men parity. And I try to help women. I also try to help young men because poor men today, I mean, today is, I don't mean, not that I'm not, they're inferior. I mean, we're superior. So sometimes I need to have the men also, you know. Anyway, but see, I'm a big women, and we counter our footprint, our carbon print with Fonafico, because Fonafico is running out of money. It's the government program for a forest for I think I do that with Fonafico. So all the travel that we do as DJ Arbitraje is compensated by buying carbon offsets from Fonafico. And I encourage you to do that because otherwise we'll lose Fonafico. So yes, with the women is crucial. No, speaking of men, one of my associates comes from a public high school in Cartago, in La Escuela Danilo Jiménez Vega, actually. I encourage him. And so I help people, yes. I'm a people person. Sarah, I think we're done. Now everyone needs to do the rap roll.
Thank you so very much. This was amazing, absolutely amazing dialogue. I'm a lot to take away, a lot of things that I need to work on.
I think just on a personal note, I will say that the talk about priorities and how things shift from one week to the next, from one year to the next. It's really big. This week I was dealing with the mental health of my daughter, not having as much work for, my work. And so it's important for us to be flexible and to be able to give what we can to people that we've committed to on certain weeks, and other times we have to focus internally in our family. So it's really valuable, all the tips. I wanted to go over a few things, but specifically, I think we can start with the door prizes. Romy, do you have some tickets for us? And does anybody not have a ticket? If you don't have a raffle ticket or door prize ticket, can you raise your hand, please? We have a missing raffle ticket for Moody right here. Moody the amp. Jackie.
Pick up those books, those 4 books.
I always win, so.
It's true. So very exciting. Do you want to tell us about the books?
Sure.
Yeah.
She edited.
Perfect. Would you be willing to tell us a little bit about the book? This edition in particular, I think the author is someone very close to all of our hearts, Henrietta Fox, who is Mooney's mother.
Hello, good morning. Just as Dyalá says wonderful things about me, my mother was phenomenal. And I honestly think that to have a wonderful mother just start your life off many, many miles ahead of people who do not have a wonderful mother. So mine was called Henrietta Boggs. She was from Alabama, a very progressive Alabama girl who believed in women, in democracy, all of the causes that were progressive in a community that was extremely conservative. She believed in and fought for. She married a man who was extraordinary because she was an adventurous. And instead of marrying somebody in Alabama, she decided to marry a man in Costa Rica, which no one in Alabama knew even where it was at. And he turned out to lead a revolution, which was a democratizing revolution. And she fought for what eventually became the vote for women. And she fought for the access of Black populations on the coastlines that were prohibited from coming up to the highlands, to the middle of the country, to free access to them. So this was her type of approach to life. It was extremely concentrated on values, causes, fighting for what you believe in, at the same time being devastatingly charming, which meant that she got away with a lot. She married this extraordinary man. He led the revolution. He abolished the army, as many of you know. His name was José Figueres. And being married to an enormous statesman and politician is not the happiest choice to make. So two strong personalities did not fit in the same home. They ended up divorcing. She went up to the States. And many years later, she did a kind of catharsis book. She wrote about her adventure, how she had met this man, how she had chosen to leave her home and met this man and married him, and how living through, thank you, a revolution changed her life, but she helped to change the country. So she's very proud, was very proud of that. She only lived to be 102. But her catharsis book is this one. It's called Married to a Legend. Originally, it was published kind of, I think, electronically or some kind of contraband, probably. But this, in fact, pushed by Mooney's sister, another granddaughter of hers. So after that first edition came out, and it was on Amazon, Steve Aronson and Jody Steiger of Espresso, does everybody, Espressivo, excuse me. Jody Steiger is part of this group, decided to publish, they have a publishing house, to publish another version, much improved, much corrected, with more pictures. And this is a new version that Dyalá brought here to share with you. It has been turned into a documentary, and women who see it, and anybody who sees it, gets extremely inspired. It's almost a fairy tale, but it's true. And then lastly, there was a musical comedy that Steve Aronson and Jody Steiger put together. I don't know how many of you saw it, called Heredia. And it's a delight and a unique piece in Costa Rica and financed by private people, not by the government. So it's a new sort of mode for financing art. So here it is. And she would love for all of you to have it. She would love to be right here watching her granddaughter.
Thank you so much. Really, that was a wonderful introduction. Can we maybe have Dyalá pick a name, a number?
Okay, so it's 50207 50 20 70s.
Nikki.
Okay.
All right, so we have 3 more books to give away today, and we have some that we're going to save for other meetings, which was a wonderful surprise. And we also have a gift basket that we'll share.
Okay, so the second one is 50 1909. 50 1909. Yeah, coincidentally. Oh, perfect. Okay, so 50 19 16. 50 19 16. Oh.
I'm so happy. And it was such an honor to have you to tell us about this, because I've heard a lot about it in the movie and the musical. Thank you so much. And I felt like I was going to win it today.
50 19 15.
All right, and that's wonderful. So you can. Oh,
I also ride a motorcycle, so I don't need to cover.
So if you can't wait to read it, then you didn't win today, you can order it online, or you can wait and see if you win at another meeting. Oh,
Online.
oh, okay.
I don't know where it's.
We'll find the link and send it.
Can we buy it today?
Well,
I have a whole copy.
let's talk about it. So Jackie has one more door prize. It's the from Harmony, Doc Harmony. She's one of our members, and it's a beautiful gift basket with some natural holistic oils and creams and such. Harmony Heal, so her company is HEAL. And we can send that out as well. So what number? We've got 502061. Oh, wonderful. All right, so Rami, can I just check? We have the orders into the kitchen to eat at 11-ish, right? That's the idea? Perfect. And we have our social responsibility projects, which we can talk a little bit about. I don't, the two women who are responsible for that on the leadership team were not able to be here today, so I will do my very best. We have 3 different projects that we support every year. One of them is Animales de Cis, an animal rescue center. It was founded by one of our members who is now deceased, Karen, and she did a wonderful job setting this up. It's an amazing organization. So we did that last year, and we also support the, the Costa Rican Humanitarian Foundation, which Gail founded and has been running for more than 25 years, correct? More than, but they celebrated their 25th anniversary to make it official last year. It's an incredible organization. Everything that we were talking about, lifting women and young people up who need our help. That's a lot of what the Costa Rican Humanitarian Foundation does. Rahab is our 3rd organization that we support, and it is an organization that helps women who have been in sex trafficking, basically. And so very important work that unfortunately the government is not really putting any resources towards. And so it's a private organization that provides shelter, immediate shelter as needed, as well as job training and other very important programs to help lift these women up. So that's part of what our social responsibility campaigns are. And right now we have that running to help support Rahab. We are organizing a breakfast at Rahab, but we found out we needed 10 people, so we'll have to postpone it. It was supposed to be this week, but we are going to reorganize that so that we can go, certain members of our organization can go and experience it firsthand to learn more about what they do, and come back and we can finish up our campaign. I think we're going to try and finish it up next month. And I can send out in our chat, the ways that you can donate, whether it is with, if you have any professional clothing that you are not using anymore, you can certainly bring that to our next meeting and we can pass that along. That's one way. Of course, financial support is always welcome. In terms of the leadership team, we've talked a lot about the leadership team we have, and I would like to thank everybody who is here today who's on the leadership team. Romy must have done litigation to make sure that our orders are in. We have Romy and we have people are Jackie in the back, who has helped with our door prizes. We have Gloriana, who is now helping with our registration and membership. Mooney, who is our vice president, who we are so grateful to, Jill of all trades, jumping in wherever needed. And just so grateful to everybody, including our founder, one of our founders, Phyllis, who couldn't make it due to road construction. So what we are looking to do is to kind of what Dyalá was getting at, which was helping mentor other women to get into a leadership position. So basically our leadership team is going to have some transition this year, and in May we'll be transitioning out. Some of us will be transitioning out of roles where we have our director of communications, who's Tara is helping out with Anna, and she'll be beginning to take on some of those roles. We'd like to have her help out with that, as well as Romy is looking to transition out of the director of membership, and myself. I've been in this position for a number of years, and I would really like to pass the torch. So if any of you are interested in helping me in these next months and stepping into that role, please talk to me privately. I'd love to discuss that. And on your table, there is, other things about help wanted. We certainly have other roles. We need some help with social responsibility, some of the things that Mooney and I do, and just do the Jill of all trades. We can certainly use additional help, so. Our upcoming meetings, we have, we generally, just for everyone who's new, our attempt is to always do the third Saturday of each month so that people can have it on their calendar. They know when our events are. Of course, there are some vacations and holidays that may change that. But this year we've been pretty consistent, and it looks like that's going to be the case. So we have upcoming the third Saturday of March, which is March 16th. The third Saturday of April, which is April 20th, and the third Saturday of May, which is May 18th. So upcoming, we have Vicki Ross, who is the director or president of UNAPUT, and she will be having more of a conversatorio. So similar to what we ended up doing today, which was to kind of give people a chance to ask questions and to contribute their personal experiences, and learn about her life, but also to have more of a discussion, I think. Then on April 20th, we will actually be doing a field trip. We'll do a field trip to an art gallery and learn a little bit about art in Costa Rica. And then in May, we will be learning about climate change from a friend of ours in Monteverde who is feeling the effects firsthand, and her name is Sarah Stuckey. So she'll be here to share about that. And we're looking forward to all these upcoming events. We'll keep you posted via emails, via WhatsApp. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any of the leadership team members. And I personally am very, very grateful to all of you for being here today. It's been amazing, really, really wonderful. And I hope that you will do your, conversations over lunch if you're able to stay, continue with the networking, and we'll see you again next month.